Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Books and Such podcast. I'm Jen Babakhan, here with my other hosts, Barb Roose, Cynthia Ruchti, and Debbie Alsdorf. And today we are having quite the conversation. We are going to be discussing conversations that agents don't want to have and how to avoid them. So I have a feeling today is going to be just a little extra exciting. We are well aware as both writers and agents that on the other side of things as agents, things can often be seen in a different light. So we are here to try and kind of explain some things that might be misunderstood on the other side as writers, and to help you as writers to understand what it looks like on this side of things as literary agents. So welcome, ladies, and thank you for being here with me today.
Our joy.
Looking forward to it.
Yep.
Excellent. So what is the first conversation, Barb, that we don't want to have? And let's talk about it a little bit.
Well, as we were planning this episode, we wanted to hone in on some of those really tough conversations because, like you said, we really do want the best for the writers, whether our clients at Books and Such or writers that we're talking with. So when I was thinking about conversations I don't like to have, this would be one of those conversations. I can't submit this to an editor because of AI. And this is probably going to be a conversation that we're going to be managing for some time as the world of AI merges with our everyday life more and more. When it comes to publishing, most of how we operate is still in a pretty nascent state. It's a little bit like the wild, wild west. However, there are some basic principles that as a literary agent, I want writers out there to pay attention to. Like, if your book writes AI, I'm not going to be able to sell it to a publisher. We're just going to call that a baseline. Then it gets a little more nuanced from there. And I'd love to hear from my beautiful colleagues when people go, well, what can we do and still have it be acceptable? So what I will say is, as a literary agent, my end point that I'm thinking about is in order for me as a literary agent to sell as a traditional publisher, the book has to be written in such a way that it can be copyrighted. If it cannot be copyrighted, it cannot sell. In order for it to be copyrighted, the book itself has to be created by a human. And when we talk about being created by a human, that means the thoughts, the ideas, and the writing should be created by a human. Ladies, is that pretty well stated? What would you add to it, and what would you zhuzh up a little?
I know one of the arguments that sometimes comes up is I can write a lot faster if I have AI write it for me. If I just give it a few prompts and then it writes the book for me, I can sell a lot more books. And that's one of the things that's definitely in the danger zone that would prevent us from being able to do what you would want us to do for you, which is present the book to an editor.
Absolutely. I think that this is falling into, like you said, Barb, that category where it is so new, and that line of what can I do and what can I not do is becoming really hard to define for a lot of people. But I would say that ultimately we know that writing is an art form. And we've always wanted to protect our intellectual property. And one of the best ways that we can do that is to make certain that what we are writing and putting into the world for mass consumption has been written by ourselves. We know that there is a difference between generative AI and using AI as a resource for research and that sort of a thing. Those are two very different things. And so I think it's so important now more than ever for writers to understand that distinction and make sure that if it is a creative work, that is coming solely from their mind.
Yeah, that's good, Jen. I think that it is getting so blurry because just as a culture, we are learning to use AI and lean on AI for so many different things. And so that would kind of bleed into our lives as writers, and we need to be careful that it doesn't. So yes, for grammar checks or, research, like you were saying, but we cannot take away or underestimate the power of being a creative. Like we're giving it away if we don't lean in and let God speak through us and create through us. And that's where the most beautiful work is going to be done. But it is confusing because we are using AI for so many different things now.
So I imagine that there are some listeners out there, and I don't know who. And for this particular conversation, I know it's a hot button. So tell us what you think in the comments. Some may be going the devil's advocate route of going, well, how will they know? And we think that that's a great question. Does anybody have any thoughts for people out there who are like, well, how will they know if I use it or not?
Well, I think it comes down to, first of all, honesty. Are you being honest with yourself? Did you really write this, or did Chat or Claude or somebody else write this for you? So it's coming down to your own heart, honesty, your own conscience. But over time, just give it some time. There are going to be ways that editors and publishers are going to be able to discern whether something has been written by AI. We're in the beginning stages of all of this, but believe you me, they are going to be able to tell. So how embarrassing would it be? Like you have a great idea that is honestly your own great idea, but then you have one of the AI resources put it together for you and you're found out. I mean, this is a conversation we don't want to have because simply we care about you. We care about your reputation as a writer. We care about your career. We care about the path going forward. So we don't want to see you caught kind of with your hands in the cookie jar, so to speak.
Love it. Well, ladies, that was a great conversation. I think the best way that I know for me that it makes sense to sum it up is like it's not wrong to use AI, and we can't cover all of the ways that AI can be useful to writers, but to be aware that it can be dangerous to your career if you use AI in the wrong way. And so just be diligent out there. So Jen, that's what I got.
I love it. Absolutely. Debbie, what is a conversation that you don't like to have as a literary agent?
Well, I want to be able to help people. So I would say, like, help me help you. And that would simply be that you're going to have to turn something into me so that we can work on something together for it to go from point A to point B to get to the publisher. Now, I have a little background in this myself, so I am not putting down sincere writers here. One thing for you all to remember that are listening to this podcast is that all of us here are authors ourselves. And we were authors before we went into agenting. We went into agenting because we want to be a champion to writers. So we are for you, but we're also authors ourselves. So that said, I can recall a time many years ago when one of my previous agents, I was very frustrated with him because nothing was happening. So I know some of you are going to relate to this. I mean, I signed with an agency. I was excited. It was a big, beautiful agency. Nothing was happening. Well, it's because I had a complete misunderstanding. I thought because he signed me, then he was going to come up with some great, wonderful ideas to promote me and to launch me, give me instruction to write those things, and he would do the magic, wave the magic wand over my career. And I think that's a misunderstanding that some people have that, oh, I have an agent. This is great. I'm on my way. Having an agent is great, but we're here to help you, but we can't send something that we don't have. So I would just encourage you, if you do have an agent and you're frustrated because you think that there's a lot of lag time, perhaps check the communication, go back over your emails, see if maybe there is something that you forgot that they're waiting for. I mean, perhaps, they asked you to change something to look up comparables or something in your proposal, and they really are waiting for you to respond to that before you can do the next step. Or perhaps maybe they dropped the ball and you need to give it a little nudge, but keep the communication going, because we can't move forward unless we're doing this together. But for us to do it together, we need to get something from you.
So are you saying that my agent isn't going to write my book for me or isn't going to write my proposal for me?
Yes, imagine that. Yes, I am saying that. I do think that there's a misunderstanding. It's kind of like, I'll give you an example. Like, if you ever sit on a plane next to someone and they ask what you do, and a lot of times I don't say I'm an author. A lot of times I'll say I'm a literary agent, and they're like, "What is that?" People don't know what that is. People know what a real estate agent is. What is a literary agent? Well, I think that there's so much confusion over what it is, even for writers. They just know that that's a step that they need. Like, let me get one, let me get signed by a literary agent. But I don't think that they know what to expect after that. And so kind of what to expect is that we are not going to write your book for you. And we are not going to write your proposal for you. We're here to encourage you, to guide you, to challenge you, to champion you, but you will have to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
That's so good. I think, there's also a distinction here to be made that not every agent is an editorial agent. I know at Books and Such, we are very editorial in our approach to proposals. And I always tell writers, sometimes a proposal will go back and forth between me and a client, maybe 5 to 8 times, if not more, until we get it to the point where we feel like it's ready to submit. But that work of actually doing the edits, making the changes, going back and really looking at those developmental edits that I've suggested, the onus of that work is on the client. That work is on the writer, not on me. Now that's just a different skill set that we have as agents, where we are providing some suggestions for them to make the changes. And not every agency or agent will provide that kind of a editorial touch to their work. But I think that's so important that the bulk of that work on a proposal especially is important for a writer to do, because that's only once you learn how to write a good proposal and to do it well and to self-edit and make those changes, it only means that those subsequent submissions can go out faster the next time around. So it's kind of one of those teach a man to fish propositions where we are doing kind of the heavy lifting ahead of time, saying, this is what you need to do. And then hopefully the hope is that a client learns that. And then those next projects move a lot faster down the pipeline because they've already got that skill set they built up to begin with.
Yeah.
And so in some ways, it's a lot like the real estate agent that you were talking about, Debbie, that the real estate agent cannot build the house. The real estate agent can sell the house for you.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's go to Cynthia. Cynthia, what's a conversation that you don't like to have?
Well, this one is a tough one, as well as all the others have been. I sometimes fall in love with a book that an author has written, but I have to have that conversation. This is great, but I'm not sure it's sellable. I don't want to have that conversation. And there are ways that authors can help to make that better, and ways that I as an agent can as well, as I'm looking at it initially. I fall in love with a lot of different either nonfiction or fiction ideas, concepts, proposals, sample chapters. Sometimes it doesn't take more than a page or two for me to fall in love with it. But I have to ask myself, and sometimes I have to have a tough conversation with a client too. That would be, is this sellable? Am I going to be able to take this from, this is phenomenally written, this is beautifully written, but it's the group of people to whom it would really matter is so small that most publishers are going to say, we can't afford to take this project on because that audience is smaller than you think. It's not everybody in the world who has this particular problem that you're addressing. It's only the ones who will buy a book, and this book in particular, and your book in particular, that will be the ones that would be helped by it. So sometimes that can relate back to that proposal idea as well. I may not be able to sell your fabulous book if you, as you're looking for comparables or what's the competition in the market, you're finding that, oh, this kind of book, this style of book, and the method of writing this book has been done already quite often by many, many people who have had great success with their books. What that turns out doing for the editor is, we've seen this before, and they have to say no. If I'm anticipating what they're going to say, which if I'm keeping abreast of the industry, I will have a sense of that, then it stops right there. The concept or the idea stops there. And we don't want it to. We want your great writing to get out there and connect with just the right publishing house. Matchmaking, that's part of our job, is matchmaking with the perfect publishing house for this, so that it can eventually reach the perfect publisher and the perfect reader for your work, or readers for your work, multiple readers. So we're always looking at it not just from, wow, great idea, that's a wonderful idea. Is it a sellable idea? And that's where a lot of authors find a layer of disappointment that we want to be able to avoid. So part of it will be, do you know your reading audience? Do you know them well? What are they reading? What do they care about? What are their felt needs? That's another one of those topics that often comes up. Do you clearly know the felt needs of your readers? And this book is meeting those felt needs. What are the other elements and components of the proposal that are going to help you know and the publisher know this is a sellable idea? So if you ever hear from an agent, your own agent or someone that you've met at a conference, I love this idea, I don't believe it's sellable, please don't take that as a personal offense, even though that's where an author's mind will always want to go first. And we know this very well. But consider, is there any truth in that? And what would make it sellable if it isn't right now? So as we often say, more great writing remains unpublished than published. But the success lies in writing what the market is looking for. And part of that means knowing the market.
That is so good, Cynthia. Thank you for that. I think that is so important. All of those points that you made. Absolutely tell us what you think in the comments. That in particular is a conversation that none of us like having, but boy, can we relate to it, because it's one that we have fairly often. You know, projects that we absolutely adore are not always the ones that that we can sell. And so it's disappointing on both sides of the coin. So yep. Thank you for that. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about what I find to be a conversation that I don't always enjoy having. And that is, I treat this as a job. I need you to as well. And this is something, boy, that sounds kind of snarky. I don't mean it in that way. I think, you know, Debbie touched on this a little bit earlier, that once a writer gets an agent, there's this belief that everything is going to be smooth sailing from there on out. You know, you're going to get the book deal that you want. You're going to become a best-selling author. Everything is set for you. And that's often not the case, especially, you know, when we sign writers a lot of times that have shown great growth. And there is that expectation on our side of things that there is going to be every attempt made to continue that growth once we begin working together. because that's what a publisher is going to want to see as well, that you are continuing that upward incline, and that you are going to be doing the hard work to continue to build your platform and get those email subscribers increasing, and that you're going to continue to be a presence online on social media that is connecting with your readers and with your audience. And so that's kind of where my heart is coming from in this, that on this side of things, as an agent, we are going to do everything in our power to get you to where you want to go in your writing career. And we need you to come alongside of us in that process as well. And so, a lot of times you will hear agents say that the decisions that we make to sign an author, to acquire a project, are business decisions. And that same thing is true for writers. When you decide that it's time for you to get an agent and to try to get an agent, that is a business decision that you are making yourself for your writing career. So you've already started the process of thinking of this as a career and a business. And so what I would encourage is for you to continue to think of this as a business. And so every day, waking up and thinking about how you can kind of pour into the business side of things and move yourself down that path as a writer is so beneficial to you. If you have to think of it as, how can I report for work every day in some small way to move yourself down the path, that's only going to make it easier for an agent to fulfill the promise or the hope, I should say, of fitting you with a publisher. So there's never a promise from an agent that we will make a sale. I want to make that clear. There are no promises here, but we will work our hardest. And so all we ask is that you do the same to partner with us in this journey. I think we've covered all of our bases here. It has been a really fun conversation, and hearing all of these different conversation points that none of us really enjoy having, but I think it was such an important conversation for us to have today so that writers can gain a better understanding of where we're coming from when we do have to have those conversations. So, the important thing to remember here is, whether you are an agented writer or not, we are for you. We are always pro-writer. As we said earlier, the four of us are all published authors. We know what this journey looks like. And that's one of the reasons we love doing this podcast, is that we feel such a call to pour into you as writers and to help you in any way that we can. We love to hear what you think in the comments. So please go and leave us your thoughts there. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you are not aware that we are there as well, if you'd like to watch us as we have these conversations with one another. And don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a review to our podcast wherever you get podcasts. Our new episodes are dropped on the first Wednesday of every month. And we just thank you so much for joining us here. And we are always excited to bring information to you that will educate, equip, and inspire. So for now, thanks so much, and we'll see you soon.
Bye, everybody.